How you going, guys? Welcome back again. So today video, I've got to do an oil change on my modern Mondeo, Ford Mondeo diesel, turbo diesel, 2008, whatever it is. And unfortunately, the oil for that and the fluid for that's fairly expensive, especially when you go to sort of like some of the local places like here, like Super Cheap or Ritco, which is sort of the two sort of big store, sort of common auto parts places. I used to use them a bit in Aussie, but I used to have a trade discount over there, but I don't have that anymore. But anyway, a filter over here for it was from those places about $30 odd, 35, 37 sort of dollars. And the oil, which I need about 5.5 litres, was about over $100 for 5 litres, and then you're going to buy another litre, or you're going to buy another 5 litre pack, or you're going to buy a 10 litre pack, or whatever, depending on which way you want to buy it. But unfortunately, at the moment, I can't afford to go buy 2 5 litre packs, so I was going to buy a litre pack, or a 5 litre pack, and Dad had a little bit left here from one of his oil changes, so that's what he was going to do. He was going to buy another 5 litre pack, and I was just going to next time I buy an extra one or whatever, we'll just, you know what I mean. But anyway, I couldn't get it from a local guys we go to, well, not local in Invercargill, which is Partmaster. They're really, really good. A damn sight cheaper than Repco and Super Cheap. And I don't think a lot of guys, there is a lot of guys that probably know them, but I think a lot of the normal public don't realise that they're there. And they're just so much cheaper. Like, I could have got the Penrite and the oil filter for a 5 litre pack, and a filter for $102, which is a damn sight better than probably $140. But anyway, I couldn't get the Penrite and the right oil. So and they would try to get some overnight, but unfortunately their supply didn't have any left. They supposedly had one on the shelf, but as per normal, probably that was that one that wasn't, that somebody's put a knife through or got a hole through and it's never been knocked off the system or something stupid, like that happens. So they couldn't supply it, so they came up with another deal for me. So I'll flip the camera around and I'll show you what I've ended up with. So anyway, so that's what we'd normally run. These Mondeo diesels, sort of later than 2008 or whatever it is. And Dad also runs this in his Fiat camper. So that's that. Now this is the oil filter I got, which I don't really know the brand, but it must be alright. The normal one that I would have got, which was through Super Cheap, like as I said, or Repco, was like $37. This was $14, $14.40 or whatever it is. No, $13.95. Sorry, that there was $14.40. So anyway, yeah. So like I got this whole lot here. They did a pretty sharp deal on it because I couldn't get that. But it was $96.83. The normal retail on them is a bit more than that. But obviously, depending on what you know and who you know, sometimes you can get a sharper deal. So I was stoked. To be honest, I've never tried this oil. And to be honest, I didn't really know this oil. I've just done a little bit of research. It's another Australian-based company. So these guys are Australian, and they've been around since 1926, obviously. I did a little bit of research, and I can't remember if it's either mid-80s or mid-90s these guys started making their own. I'm not sure where the guys come from. Obviously, they've been in the oil industry for a fair while. Probably the people that started it, and then they made their own products, obviously. So I'm prepared to give it a bash and see how it goes. It's all compatible with what I need, so that's the main thing, because some of these modern diesels are fairly fussy, and that does some super high Ks per tank, like 1,000 kilometres is no worries for it. For that local trip that we just did to Milford Sound from here is a fair way. I'd have to double check the distance, but like it's 150 odd k's to Tianao, and then I think it's like another 100 and something k's from there to Milford. And it's a very twisty, windy road. It takes about 2 hours to drive. I think it's like 110 k's or 105 k's from Tianao to Milford, but it's a very twisty, windy road, and it's all a lot of hill work. So what are we looking? 300, 400, we'll say mid 500 kilometres, or about 370 odd miles, 300, 400 miles thereabouts. So I had about three quarters of a tank, and I've been to Invercargill again in the last 2 days in that same tank of fuel, and I've still got fuel. So like it's really good on juice. So it'd be interesting to see whether this makes any difference in fuel economy, because that's obviously, you know, something to consider. Like if you're going to change the brand of oil, and all of a sudden your consumption and it goes up, well, you know, you're not going to put that oil back in it, are you? So it'd be interesting to see. So I'll change this oil at some point shortly-ish, and I might film that too, and get that changed, because it sort of needs it. I've been meaning to change it for a little bit. The light's been saying, you know, the oil change is due for been a wee while. I've sort of been a bit slack, but I just, because of the price of the oil and stuff, I've sort of been putting it off until I had sort of saved up a little bit more money to so I could do it. But anyway, so yeah, I'm wrapped, because I think another litre of that too was like crazy money. It was either that or you have to buy another 5 litre pack. So by the time you do that, like that's $200 worth of oil, and you know, and a $14 filter or a $37 filter. So all of a sudden your oil change is like $200 and something before you even put it in. And then, especially if you've got somebody to do it, man, like it would be $400 or $500 to change the oil on it. But anyway, I'll stop crapping on, and I'll leave it for now, and I'll get the car sorted out shortly. I might do it maybe after tea or something like that, and change the oil in it, drop it out and change it, because it's a cartridge filter, it's not a spin-on too. So it's got like one of the little cartridgey type filters in it. So that's something else to look for too. But anyway, we'll get that done shortly. I'll charge my phone up a bit because it's getting flat. There you go, guys. So just doing a oil change on this. So the filter's down here in the cartridge. Now, hopefully, I don't know if you can see down in here. So there's an arrow on here. If you line that up with that bit on the boss, it lets the oil drain out of there.
Eh?
Yeah, so if you let that come round, that filter housing, pointed at that little bracket down there, wind it up a couple of turns so it's just got a little bit of a gap, that will actually drain away instead of making a prick of a mess. Apparently it's a good trick. Did it say on there?
Eh?
What the tightening spec was?
25.
Yeah, Newton meters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't break it.
No.
So you don't break it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a couple of little drain slots in this thing. There and there, so that lets the air in. When you line it up in the right place, and that lets the oil back out of the housing.
How much is 25 Newton meters?
Not a lot. I got a 1/4 inch torque wrench.
No?
But I don't think it'll go in that big socket. Was that 22 mil, was it?
24.
24. Right, so I'm going to reset the service light on this thing, because when you turn it on, it's just on the oil. It says, all service lights on. So we've just done the oil change, so turn the ignition off apparently. Put your foot hard on the brake pedal, hard on the accelerator pedal. Turn the ignition back on, hold it down for 15 seconds. Supposedly. And then push OK, I think. Also reset, repeat. And then just turn it back on and it should be right. Yep. Done. Simple. Alrighty. I was just looking through the footage. I just realised when I did that reset, I didn't explain a couple of things, so I'll quickly go over it again. So you'd have all the doors closed, all the windows up, from what I understand. I'm not sure whether you actually need to have it with the handbrake on or the e-brake on. It's got to be in park. So you foot hard on the brake pedal, foot hard on the accelerator pedal with the ignition off, flick the key on. 15 seconds later it should go through its thing, and then you hit, when it comes up with the message on here, you hit the OK button and then turn the ignition off and then release your feet off the pedals and then flick the ignition back on, and it should say it's reset on the dash. So finished the oil change, so I got about half a litre left, or a little bit under half a litre left. So it's got about 5.5 litres, 5.6 roughly, give or take. So the only little tips I can give you, the sump plug for that particular model is an 8mm Allen key or Allen wrench fitting, and the plastic oil filter housing is 24mm on top. And if you have a decent look on there, you'll notice that it's got like a little arrow on it and it says drain. So if you turn that round to these like a little aluminium bracket that's sticking out the front, if you turn that round to that, and then just maybe a couple of turns and you just see a little gap, what it'll do, it'll actually drain the system. So instead of undoing that right off and making a real mess, which as Dad said he'd done a couple of times till he actually figured that out, if you turn it round to that drain position after a couple of turns, it'll actually drain the system. And then, like if you leave it for a few minutes, and then you can actually take that off without actually making a real prick of a mess. So that's the only sort of real tips I can say about anything. Yeah, and then just that reset the oil service light on it, which is, like I said, make sure all your windows and doors and everything are all up and closed, handbrake on, in park, ignition off, foot on the brake and the accelerator hard down, flick the ignition on for 15 seconds, and that should go through a reset code, and then you just hit the OK on the menu switch on the steering wheel, and then flick the key back off and then flick it back on with your feet on the pedals, and it should be reset.